Hey, welcome back to Jaws on Sports. I'm Mike. I'm out here in Ohio kicking butt. There's Zach. How's it going?
Doing all right.
Doing all right. Sweet. Yeah. Working hard, saving lives, making the planet a better place. That's how we roll. And he nods his head. I'm repping the good ladies of the University of Oklahoma softball team as they go. That's right, Boomer Sooner, as they go into battle tomorrow in the finals of the World Series against Florida State. They're going to totally dismantle Florida State, make it a three-peat national championship with multiple more in the past decade. How you feel about that, Zach?
I uh I think Florida State's gonna give them some trouble. I'm not saying they'll lose the series, but I think they're gonna have some trouble with them. Um Natties for Patty though. I think they'll get another one this year. They're just better than everyone and they play better in the big game. So but it's not gonna be a they're not gonna wash them out. It's not gonna happen. Florida
Well, I
State's the
don't.
best
Yeah,
team.
yeah. I don't think it's going to be a runaway by any stretch. I'm just trying to get hyped about it. That's all.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow.
Yeah,
Should be fun.
should be fun. If you're in the Oklahoma City area, check it out. I hear that they have parking on the interstate available by the Softball Hall of Fame complex. All right.
Uh, bring a hat and sunscreen.
Is it 100 degrees there yet this week or what?
I don't know, but I went with Grammy and Christy and got burnt really bad. They had a game that went to like the 12th inning,
Yeah.
and yeah, didn't work out too well. So
No, it's a good idea to try to maintain not getting sunburn. That's important.
yeah, I agree.
And just off the cuff here, if we have any billionaire developers out there who would like to do something with Crossroads Mall in Oklahoma City for all us people my age and older, you know what I'm talking about. I think that they could take the Crossroads Mall complex and make the new uh, softball Hall of Fame there and put a stadium there. I think that'd be a pretty good use of resources. So if anybody's got some pull with that, hey, go for it, knock it out, and put Zach in. Zach and I could be your sponsor. Um, one of many millions will be good to go. So with that in mind, I do want to plug Ferraro's Pizza in Middlesex, New Jersey. Was there this weekend. Best damn pizza in the world. It's a cheese pizza. Cheese.
Yeah, I had Sam's Club for 250 today. Much better. Um,
Sam's Club for 250. Let me tell you, you can't go wrong with Sam's Club or Costco pizza for a slice. You can't.
I agree. I'd rather just do that.
Yeah. But if you happen to be in New York or New Jersey, check out Ferraro's Pizza. They're in Middlesex, freaking incredible. Most people will not understand how a $15 freaking cheese pizza could be that glorious, but our good listeners in out there on the East Coast would understand. So anyway, today we got a couple things. We're in the middle of the NBA Finals with the Nuggets and the Heat. They're tied at 1. Game 3 is tomorrow. And we've also got a little bit about upcoming UFC 289 this weekend. And we're going to finish out the night, if we have enough time, talking just a little about the new season of The Ultimate Fighter with coaches Michael Chandler and one Conor McGregor. So anyway, back to the finals. Initial thoughts after 2 games.
Um, I don't know. I mean, it's been interesting. Everyone thought the Heat would get swept, um, which I thought was kind of silly. But I don't know. It's been weird watching it. It's not what I expected. I thought it would be um, kind of like a duel between Butler and Jokic, but it's been more of the um, bench guys and role players that have made a difference. So it's interesting, and the Heat stole one in Denver. I don't think someone beat Denver the whole playoffs at home.
No.
So um, I think they are a better, like, connected as a team. I think the Nuggets have better players, but I think that team chemistry might lead them. And I'd love to see the Heat win. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Butler, but it's been interesting. I'm not going to say anything because it's 0-0 right now.
Mm.
They both won a game, so everything behind you doesn't matter. It's about winning three more. And the most important one's game three. That's next. So
Yeah, it's interesting because uh, there's one thing about the Miami Heat. Now we last time we talked about them being an 8 seed, and hey, the 8 seed doesn't matter. Obviously, it didn't matter to them because they blitzed through the Eastern Conference and are tied 1-1 in the finals against a team that on paper is probably about 15 points better than them. Um, the Heat have Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and then a whole bunch of guys that you would think that they picked up at the YMCA on over 50 night when I'm out there. Could be further from the truth though. They played defense, they scratch and claw, they're never out of it. And when they hit their threes, like they did the other night, at good grief, 50%, they they can beat anybody. But there's a couple things I want to touch on with this. Number one, I think that Eric Spoelstra, the Heat head coach, is vastly underrated. Considering what he's been able to do with his teams, they yeah, we all know the story that he was coach when you had the LeBron Bosch Wade Heat teams of a good grief a decade ago, just about. Wow. They were in the finals 4 straight years, won two of them. But with one star, Jimmy Butler, and just a bunch of guys that know their role out there, they just been consistently solid. They didn't win a whole lot of games in the season this year, the regular season, but they've been great in the playoffs. And um, we were talking about this at work today. Like in game two, Jokic got 41 points, but Denver lost. Your big star gets all that, but he only had 4 assists in the game. He wasn't controlling the game. Did you pick up on that, Zach?
yeah, individual performance doesn't mean anything at this point in the playoffs. Uh, I could go out and score 90 and lose 91-90. It wouldn't matter. So you need production from everyone. You need to spread the ball. Um, the Heat do that well. They get their guys that can score the ball, not named Jimmy Butler.
Hmm.
Um, and the Nuggets have Caldwell Pope. He needs to put up 15 or 20 for them to win. They need role players to show up because Jokic and Murray, they're not going to combine for 50 or 60 every game. So they have to have production from their bench and their role players to win.
Yeah, in game two, Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., the rest of the starting front court, along with Jokic, had a total of 17 points. And that's just not going to cut it. But I really think that part of that was Jokic was the way that the Heat were defending. They were kind of funneling him to the basket instead of him being a traffic director out there. The man is incredible when he's kind of running the point, passing the ball. He doesn't have to be way out there in the point. He could be in the paint and somehow finds the open man. I shoot. It's crazy to say this, but you actually see some flashes of one Magic Johnson out there, big man who could pass the ball like Jokic, but the Heat didn't give him that the other night, and the Heat
Uh,
won.
well, if you watch him play, he likes to pull up at the, just under the 3-point line. He kind of stands there and looks, and then he'll give the ball, set a screen, and normally that's how they get their shots.
Hmm.
Um, but the Heat aren't stupid. They this is
No.
stuff this is stuff they study and they practice um, every day, at least since they beat the Celtics. Um, and they knew what they were gonna go up against. They didn't come into this blind, and the Nuggets haven't shown anything that they pulled out of their magic hat. This is
Mhm.
all stuff that they've done all year. So
Yeah.
it's easy to study because it's there. It's easy to practice because it's not anything too brilliant or crazy. Um, and just make them play your style of basketball, and they'll win. As it's uncomfortable when it doesn't matter what sport you're playing,
Mhm.
but your opponent is pushing their pace and playing their game, it's going to throw you off. So,
Yeah. 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 With obviously the Nuggets are better when Jokic is out there kind of running the point, running, making all the passes, getting 10, 12, 15 assists sometimes. It gets the other guys involved. Um, Denver has an awful lot of size out there. They're much bigger than the Heat. Doesn't seem to matter. The Heat take care of business no matter. It seems like not only are they pulling guys off the over 50 YMCA, they're pulling guys off the over 50 YMCA who aren't even playing. They're on the bench, and those guys are out there contributing. Everybody contributes. It's amazing. The way that the Heat play basketball kind of reminds me of how um, the Belichick Brady Patriots played defense all those years. They would take somebody out. Your number one option. They would make somebody else beat you, and in a very weird way, considering that Jokic got 41 points, it seemed like the Heat limited what he could do. They made him a one-dimensional scorer. Now, if he would have scored 45, they would have won the game. Okay. But he scored 41, they missed a shot at the end. He did exactly what they came to do. They stole one in Denver at altitude at their mile high.
yeah. And it'll be tough to play in Miami. Not the weather or altitude, but just the fans. It's not an easy place to play. Um, yeah, a big win for them, but at this point, those two games don't matter. It's
Mm.
just now it's about the next one. So,
Yeah, next game. And the next game is tomorrow night. Game 3, South Beach, Heat versus Nuggets. Should be fun to watch. I we mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I don't imagine there were too many of the network executives that were all that happy about this finals. I'm sure most people want to see the Lakers and the Celtics, and those teams just didn't have enough to make it. But this is a very compelling final series with the Nuggets and the Heat from a fan's point of view, and I think it's amazing out there. Um, and we still haven't seen certain things. We haven't seen Jimmy Butler go off. Okay, um, just lots going on, lots to take in. Looking forward to Game 3. Who else from the Heat, the 13 deep on their bench, is going to show up and have a big impact? Seems like somebody always does.
Jimmy Butler is due for a 50-point game in the finals. And whether that be game 5, 6, or 7, whenever it is, it's going to happen. Um, and if it doesn't, then you can come back to this and call me an idiot. And we already knew that, but I'm telling you, I think he's gonna he's gonna have one of those nights where the basket grows like this, and the shots fall for him. And I think that's coming up really soon. I do.
Yeah, I had one of those nights last week out there on the court, man. The only problem is nobody else could see the 10 for 12 from three night that I had, because there wasn't anybody else out there and it was dark, but it was beautiful when that goal is just that big and the ball finds it regardless of what you do. Just a beautiful thing.
All right, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. So, you got any predictions for Game 3 while we're here?
I think the Heat will win by 14. Yeah. And then I think the Nuggets will win game 4. I do. I think we'll end up back at this spot, a couple days from now where it's tied up again.
Yeah, one thing I like about the NBA Finals that they do the 2-2, 1-1-1 home format uh, instead of the 2-3-2, the Major League Baseball. I think they still do. I don't know. I never did like that. But two at home, two on the road, and then 1-1-1. I think it makes it the competition a little bit more fair. So yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow night. It's going to be fun to watch. I like both of these teams. I am pulling for the underdog who should not be underdog Heat. But if the Nuggets are playing well, I think that they're definitely the better team. But you can't count the Heat out. Never
No.
can. Um, anyway, I was going to go to Roosters tonight. Didn't work out. But just want to say that they do have the best sauce. The garlic sauce is freaking amazing. And I know Zach wants to try it next time. He can't wait. It's not your favorite yet, but it's going to be.
You bring that up every single time we talk on here. And gonna be honest with you, it hasn't changed my mind at all. I don't care about your garlic butter or whatever it's called. I don't
Like butter.
care.
It's just garlic, man. It's glorious. It's amazing.
I don't
It's
know.
glorious
And
and amazing. I mean, if something is glorious and amazing, you got to try it. You love it.
no reasonable person gets chicken wings and just dumps garlic on it. It's weird.
It's not dumping garlic like a freaking vampire would get killed by. No, it's the sauce. The sauce is amazing.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Well, I'm sure some of our viewers would chime in and totally agree with me on that. But
Probably
um,
not.
next time we're at Roosters, you're going to have to try it. That's the bottom line.
Their hot is better, I'm sure. They have good
Their
hot.
their hot sauce is good, but their garlic sauce is freaking the best of all time.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you're wrong.
Oh man, I tell you,
Yeah.
calling me out on chicken wing sauce. That's just not right.
I feel like this show's turned into more of a restaurant type thing compared to talking about athletics sometimes.
Which is a great transition to UFC 289 this weekend. We
Yeah.
we got a bantamweight title fight between dominant champion Amanda Nunes and challenger Irene Aldana. It seems like in the bantamweight ladies division, if you win a fight or two, then you get a title shot because Amanda Nunes is taking everybody out.
Yeah. Um I don't know, that's her name. I think she's only 7-4 in the UFC. But I don't know. She's got size. That's about it. She's not anything too special. I think she'll get pieced up. Amanda, she's too good. Um, I love watching her fight because I didn't used to be like that. I kind of wanted to see the greats suck, like
Mm,
Tom Brady. I wanted to watch Tom Brady lose, and then after a while, I was like, I kind of appreciate watching him.
yeah,
Um, and Amanda, she brings it every fight. The only fight she hasn't was the Pena fight,
first
and we
fight,
saw.
first fight.
Well, yeah, but in the rematch, we saw that the first fight, every excuse that she made in that first fight, I believe it completely.
Mm,
Every single one. She could have said her fingernail polish was contaminated. I believed it because she went out and just destroyed Pena.
mm.
Um, I don't know if she'll get a finish. The only reason is Aldana is Mexican. Mexicans have big heads. They can take shots. I think she could finish on the ground. Um, But I think it'll be close for a round or two. I do. It's not gonna wash her out right away, but she has it coming. Kind of deer in the headlights when you're in front of Amanda Nunes. So
Yeah, this was supposed to be the trilogy fight with Nunes and Juliana Pena, and which I honestly it wasn't that exciting as a fan to look forward to, but um, for the UFC, it was the only fight that made sense.
no,
But it
no,
didn't happen. Pena got hurt. I don't know how long she's going to be out. Whether
yeah,
whether or not she'll get a third fight with Nunes, which she'll probably get destroyed, I have no idea. But Donna, she's a good fighter. We've seen this movie play before. If Amanda Nunes comes out there and does 75% of what she's capable of, it's a 50-44 or 43 unanimous decision or second round TKO. Um, there's always a puncher's chance, or she could slip. Amanda could slip up like she did in the first Pena fight and get caught or get submitted. It happens to the best fighters. We've seen that, but I don't think it's going to happen. And it's interesting in that Nunes is a minus 330 favorite. I thought she'd be like a minus 700 in this fight. I don't understand that one.
yeah. I have a good buddy from OU. Um, One of his friends. I don't condone this at all, but the first Nunes Pena fight, he bet a lot of money on Pena and she won. So I think part of that might be the what's it called, like invincibility factor. It kind of
Mm,
went down a little bit after Nunes lost. Um, doesn't mean she's gonna ever lose again, but we've shown
yeah.
it can happen. Um, so odds are. I think odds are a silly thing. I don't think they mean that much. I think it's more of getting you to the fight and giving you something to talk about. That's what I think it is. So it doesn't matter. Um, if you just look at it on paper or if you go watch past fights, I think you pick Nunes. And
Yeah. Yeah.
she one thing I appreciate about her is she gets better every
Mm,
fight too. So
yeah. I have never put a dime on an MMA fight ever. Just seems like a bad bet to me. If I happen to be in Vegas and an extra $20 or something, or $100 bill somebody gave me, I would put it on Amanda Nunes to win this fight. Maybe some prop bets, but um, she, I think she stays with it here. Now, is she still a champ? Champ? There isn't anybody that I know of on the featherweight side out there. I'm kind of surprised UFC hasn't just dissolved that division yet.
yeah, um, I don't know what to think about it. It was a legit win for Amanda when she took out Cyborg, 100%.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so it's not illegitimate that she's a double champ, but that's the UFC's fault that they're not trying to build it. Because you could go pick out some huge chick that's 170 pounds, cuts down to 145, and it's like, oh, this might be the one to beat Amanda, just to build up the fight. They could do that easily if they wanted to.
There
They
was
just
this,
choose to not. So
yeah, there's this American judo Olympic double champ named Kayla Harrison who fights in the Professional Fighter League, the PFL. And I don't really follow them too much, but when she made the transition to MMA, they paid a lot of money for her to go to the PFL, and she was good, dominant. They had a female lightweight division, which was 155 pounds, and I think that there was some discussion to have some long term uh, fights, maybe with Cyborg at some point, and then possibly in the UFC. But then Kayla Harrison went out and got beat. I don't know if it was her last fight or the time before. So that mystique that she had that could have possibly translated to a big money fight down at the UFC at bantamweight, or I'm sorry, at featherweight. That's probably not ever going to happen.
yeah, I was disinterested in that fight, even when they were talking about it.
Yeah.
It's just a different level of fighter there, and would have been all this build up just for it to end quickly. And yeah, I don't care. It's nice that she's still in there though. I thought she'd retire, Amanda Nunes.
Mhm.
Um, so it's nice to still get to watch her fight. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
mean, Amanda, she's got a toddler at home, uh,
She
with her
doesn't need to
partner.
fight.
She
Yeah.
doesn't need to fight.
No.
She's made Modelo commercials. I'd love to have a beer with Amanda. I think she'd be really cool to have a beer with. I wouldn't want to piss her off or anything. Um, but yeah, this just looks like another dominant win. You got to give people credit for getting there in that cage. Zach and I would probably not get in that cage. At
No.
least there was a
I
time
would.
I probably would have, but not anymore.
I would against you. I would. I think we can make some money fighting each other.
You think so?
Um,
You think
maybe,
people would drop $150 on pay-per-view for that?
man, maybe not that much, but um, I don't want to fight anybody. It doesn't feel good to fight someone, but it would be funny if I could bonk you in the head a couple times. Sometimes you deserve it. So,
Hey, let me
um,
tell you something, man. Uh, I could take a shot. I could take 10 shots, actually. I keep coming.
yeah,
I'm like the Terminator out there.
yeah. I was making fun of Mexican people for having a big head. We have big heads in our family, so we can take some shots, I'm sure, but I'd rather not. Um, but speaking of taking shots, um, there are actually fun fights on this card besides the top two. I'm more excited for Oliveira to fight. Big fan of his. I don't think he's gonna win. We'll get to that later. But um, my thing about UFC, we've seen this story many times where the fighters aren't as well known and
Mm-hmm.
their fights are awesome because they have something to prove. They're trying to build their name.
Yeah, they're going
Try
for
to
it.
get it. Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna have a lot of fun fights. We're not gonna have a lot of big names, but we're gonna have a lot of fun fights. Look out for um, the Canadian fella Zahabi and Arichi Lang, the Chinese guy. That's gonna be a fun fight. Imavov and Curtis. Curtis is a very angry fighter. He, I think he's an emotional guy. He likes to swing, so that's gonna be a fun fight. Um, Fight of the night is Dan Ige and Nate the Train Landwehr. That's gonna be those guys are just gonna stand there and beat each other up. So
I've always been a big fan of Dan Ige, so
yeah,
like to see him out there. He swings for the fences every time. That's fun to watch as a fan.
yeah, and that's probably my favorite fight on the card. I really like Oliveira. He had probably the best title run since Anderson Silva had, in my eyes, because you know, not only was he fighting the best guys, but he was taking them out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's so hard to finish anybody in the UFC because it's the best in the world. But he was the champ, taking out the number one guy over and over. Um, Finished Michael Chandler, finished Poirier, finished Justin Gaethje, and ran into the Dagestan guys, which that never works out. But um, I really like him, but he hasn't had a match on the ground. Islam Makhachev was a better wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
but straight jiu-jitsu, I think Beneil Dariush is better than Oliveira. So that can mean two things. It can mean they hang out on the ground and throw up submissions, or cancels each other out and they just start swinging at each other. And we've seen that Oliveira can knock people out, but he's chinny.
Mm-hmm.
He gets dropped in every fight. He got dropped against Chandler, got dropped against Poirier,
Yeah,
dropped against Gaethje, dropped against Islam. That's
and
not sustainable.
he came back, but the thing is, he's only 33 years old. It seems like he's been around the octagon for that many years. He's had a lot of fights, a lot of mileage. You had mentioned earlier today that you're thinking that maybe he is kind of on the downside now.
I I like the guy. I'll be cheering for him.
Mm,
But it's not a lack of skill. It's more of a problem with his defense because you can't get sat down 5 fights in a row and then fight a guy with heavy hands like Beneil
yeah,
and expect to just go in there and swing. And um, it's going to be, to a fan that doesn't know too much, you just pick Oliveira. But Dariush, I feel like he's been disrespected a little bit. And I think personally, I could eat this. I eat my words, but I think he's the hardest matchup for Makachev because he matches anybody on
mm,
the ground,
yeah.
and he's good standing up. I believe Dariush is a world champion in jiu-jitsu as well.
I think so.
So
And
this isn't,
he's won 8 in a row. You know.
yeah, this isn't some crazy skill discrepancy. It's actually more of him leading.
Mm.
Um, so I think we might get a little underwhelmed. Big return for Oliveira, but I think it's going to get spoiled. I think Dariush will get the job done. I really do. And if I was a betting man, I'd put it on Beneil to
You know,
win.
this is a fight I'd like to see have 5 rounds. It seems like it should.
I
You know, Charles was champ for so long; he had so many 5 round fights, and this is one of those where we could get to the end of the third round and think, okay, well, there's still a lot more to go, and that's it. Maybe we could, if Dana White's watching tonight, maybe hey, you could make this a 5 round fight for the fans. It'd be pretty cool.
yeah, for the fans it would be cool, but you train for 4 months for 3 rounds
Oh, I
and
know, I know.
have it changed. I wouldn't like that very much. But
No, that would totally suck. but hey,
um
we've got about 5 minutes left here, and I just wanted to touch on the Ultimate Fighter a little bit, not the fighters themselves, but Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor. Like, what do you think these guys are actually gonna fight?
I don't. No, I don't think so. I don't think Connor is gonna. I think he'll fight someone, but I don't think this fight's actually gonna happen, and I don't trust it ever happening until it's fight week and they're stepping in the cage. He's kind of like how Diaz was. You just can't tell. It's just sad, but yeah, I I think Chandler's kind of wasted his time with this one. The Ultimate Fighter got announced months ago, and they still
Hmm.
haven't set a date for the fight. The only way that fight would happen is it's in November, December right now. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think
um,
that when it comes to Conor McGregor, I mean, he's the biggest worldwide star that the UFC has ever had. Um, I think 50% of that was his performance in the octagon, and then 50% was the way that he could talk. You know, he came straight from the Vince McMahon WWE promo school, and he played it to a T. The dude is incredible in that regard. With that, he doesn't win anything fighting Michael Chandler, who's a freaking buzzsaw out there, or at least he has been. Um,
yeah,
Conor McGregor, if he's going to fight at all, I could see him fight with, you know, Oscar De La Hoya's group or the the Paul brothers, even something to do with Floyd Mayweather's group for massive amounts of money and minimal potential brain damage involved. That's just
yeah.
me.
No, I think that's dumb. I don't think that's gonna happen. Um, I I don't think this fight happens, but I don't think he's gonna go do that stupid stuff. I really don't. Um, it's
Just
sad. Everyone wants to watch that fight, but I think he's always one win away from a title shot.
mm,
But um, I don't know. I think those guys mirror each other. I think Connor's a better striker, but Chandler kind of throws like a crazy man. Um,
yeah,
this would be more interesting to talk about if the fight was scheduled because we know it's happening. But I don't know. The world stops when two guys fight. That's John Jones and it's Conor McGregor.
That's right.
I don't know if that fight's gonna happen. I don't.
Yeah, like if you're asking me right now what I think about Conor McGregor ever fighting in the octagon again, I'll give you a hard no on that. Just don't think he's going to do it. He doesn't need to do it. He's got nothing to prove, nothing left to say. We're running really short on time here. Got about 30 seconds. Anything you want to plug?
No.
I think we're going to come back in a couple days and talk about the new NCAA football game coming out next. When's that coming out?
Should be July of 24.
July 24.
That'll be a spirited episode there. That's one that we care about. So
we're gonna talk about that probably a Thursday. Come back and check us again. This has been Jaws on Sports. I'm Mike. There's Zach. Boomer Sooner. Go ladies. Bring it home again. We'll see you next time. We're out.